What's up guys, my name's Luke and welcome back to Motion and Design. So I did some R&D recently for a client, and one of the shots that I did was this kind of like shoe impact where like the shoe kind of hits a plane, kind of causes a ripple. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It was also quite like easy to do, since none of it was simulated. All of it is just using like displacers and fields. And so yeah, I thought I'd do a tutorial on it. If you're interested in the project file, it'll be up on my Patreon. And yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, like and subscribe. There's also a bunch of other stuff on Patreon and on YouTube. But yeah, let's get into this. Cool. So let's start out over here. I have a scene over here with just a shoe and then just some other stuff that I'm gonna use just now. But yeah, all you need right now is a shoe or some sort of object. You don't need to use a shoe, but I think for my thing I used a shoe. And let's go and animate this. So let's just at frame about 10. Let's set a keyframe here where we want it to be. So set a keyframe, then let's go back and move this back, and then we like move it up like that, and then let's keyframe that, and let's see. Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much going to be the initial shoe impact. Let's just add a little bit more detail. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, seeing that this isn't the main effect, but I will still show you how I did it. Let's go and just put an FFD deformer around this. Let's just make sure that it like fully encapsulates it. So like that, and let's just move this up, and let's move it just a little bit out like that. Sweet, that should be fine. Let's just add one more block over here. Let's go over here and add a pose morph. Let's select points, and now let's create the impact that we want. So let's move this up a little bit. Let's also rotate it, and kind of like something like that should be fine. So now you can kind of see what's going to happen is that once you're done with this, we're going to go here to the Animate tab, and now you can kind of see the animation that's going to happen. Cool. So let's go over here. Let's set a keyframe. Go to frame 10. Just have it up a bit, maybe like 50%. And then let's go to frame 90 and set it to 100%. So now it should land and kind of go up. Kind of like as if like the shoe is landing and then your foot's going up. You can make it look better. I'm just not going to spend too much time on it. But yeah, that's kind of like the gist of what that's going to look like. Cool. Let's create the impact now. Let's create a plane over here. Let's maybe make this 600 by 600. And let's increase the subdivisions. Actually, nah. 400 for now. Let's maybe make it 200. And let's go and add a displacer. So let's just add displacer for the first one. I'm going to add a noise over here. And I'm going to select mod noise. I'm going to set this to 500. Maybe 750. Yeah, I think like that, where it's just a bit bigger. And let's set this to 1. I just want it to kind of be subtle over here. You'll see in my original render that there was just a bit of this on the floor. This was just to add some like variation, because I was kind of going for like a futuristic-ish vibe. I mean, futuristic as in cubes. But anyways, you don't need to do this. Cool, so that's going to be there for now. Then let's add a field over here. We're going to add a spherical field, and we're going to invert it. Cool. Let's set this to 0. Go to frame 10. Set a keyframe, and we're going to move this out to something like that. Let's also just go into our remapping and bump this up a bit like that. So as it lands, it's going to shoot this out. That's just going to kind of take away where this was. Cool. Let's go and add the ripples now. So let's go and add a plane effector into here. And then we're going to add a torus field. You'll notice that nothing happens. And the reason for that is that we need to go into our deformer section over here and select polygon. Cool. So you'll see that's acting a little bit weird. But the reason for that is that we just need to set this in the right direction. So let's set this like 15 over here. Something like that looks good. For my render, I kind of liked it where it had the flat top, because we're going to add an extra layer of displacement on top of it. But if you don't want the flat top, the way that I got around that was just messing with the rotation. So you'll see that if I like rotate this a bit, I can get it to be a little bit smoother. We can also go into our field over here and move this like kind of like down like that. And then, yeah, see if I do that, now we kind of have a smoother ripple. But I think for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm gonna leave it as it is. And let's just maybe make this just a bit wider like that. Cool. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Let's go into our field and set these both to 0. Let's go to around frame 20. Let's increase the radius to like here and the thickness like that. Maybe a little bit wider like that. So let's see. Yeah. And then over here at 90, I just want to increase the radius a little bit more. And let's just go and quickly animate this. So we want initial thing to be quite fast. And then this we want to just go animation F track so we can see it a little bigger. And in this one we want to be quite linear. Cool, let's see. Nice, so it's gonna have a fast initial impact and slowly move out. Perfect. Let's go and duplicate this plane. And let's just offset this a little bit more. Let's take these two, move it around frame 15 so we can get a second impact. Maybe there. Let's see. Yeah, cool. And then with the second one, I want to go further than the other one. And let's also just make the thickness a little bit less. And then it also needs to go a little bit further. Nice, I think that looks cool. Kind of going with like the shockwave, but it's like initial explosion and then another second ripple. Cool, I think that looks kind of fine for now. Yeah, let's go add some more details into this. Let's go over here and let's add another displacer. So in this one, we're gonna select noise. The noise that you're using doesn't really matter too much. I'm going for something weird, and we're gonna put our toruses, both of these in here, and set the top one to max. So now you'll see that that displacing is only happening in there. And yeah, that looks pretty cool with something weird over there. I liked it just because we're gonna add grass on top of it, and then, I don't know, it looks a bit better. It's also just bring down the intensity, maybe like 5. You can also change up the noise that you're using to get different results. At the end of the day, it's gonna be something that you don't really, it doesn't really matter too much, just as long as it looks cool. Let's see. Doom, doom. Nice. I think that looks fine for now. So in my render, the client wanted their brand name to kind of like go around it. So what I did was I created this image over here. You can see over here that it has their name, which is No Mercy over here, and that's just kind of like going around in a circle. I just did that in Cinema, to be honest. I just put it in a cloner and added a bit deformer. Yeah, and with that, what I did was I used a fields over here, and then I used the initial displacer over here. And let's just invert this, go back here. Huh, oh, it's because it's not in here. There we go. Okay, and we need to invert this. Cool, so you're not going to be able to see the text. The only way you're going to be able to see the text is if we increase the number of subdivisions. But for now, I think it's fine. So now what happens is that it's nothing. Then as soon as it hits, then the logo is kind of revealed. I also added the logo in the actual ripples over here. You couldn't really see it, but it looked pretty cool. You could see that there was like bigger details in those ones. But I think you can kind of get the gist of how to do that. Cool, so that's pretty much the gist of how we did the ripple up here. let's go and add some more details into this by adding some grass. So I have a cloner already set up over here with a bunch of grass assets that I got from Bridge. If you don't know Bridge, just, use Bridge. Yeah, that's it. Just use Bridge. Okay. And in our cloner over here, let's set this to object mode and set our object to this plane. Cool. So now we're going to get a lot of them. The reason for that is that I have it set to 3000 over here. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that I changed in here. The only other thing I changed is just the rotation, because sometimes with the cloner, it's set, you'll see over here that it's like, now it's all facing a weird direction. We just change this rotation over here to 90. It will be facing the right way. I can post the P -90 over there. And then I just reduced the height in the y-axis. I'm not too sure why I did that. I think maybe it was just poking out too much. Let's see. But one, oh yeah, no, I think it was just too much. But maybe let's set it to 0.5 for now. Well, I think I'm going to reduce this back to 200 and reduce this by just 10 for now, just so that we can actually see what we're working with. And let's go and light and texture this. Cool. So we got our plane over there. Let's just set up a camera. I'm gonna change this to like 80. I like these close lenses. Something like that. That should be good. And I have another grass texture over here. If you're looking for the exact one, it's this wildy moss. I'm gonna apply that onto our plane. Cool. I think the only thing that I changed with this texture was the color correction over here. You'll see that if I applied this directly in, I think it was a lot darker, so I just wanted to boost that up a bit. So I just added some gamma over there and I think reduced the saturation. Oh no, doubled the saturation. Cool. Let's go and add some lights. So let's grab an area light over here. I'm gonna lock the camera. Let's go camera, use selected objects so we can use our lights. And I kind of want this backlighting up here. I think something like that looks pretty cool. Maybe just reduce the power of it a bit. Let's create another duplicate. And I want to decrease the spread over here. Maybe sets to 100 by 100. Yeah, I think something like that looks pretty cool. It's nothing too crazy. And these areas aren't too dark over here, but if the outer areas are too dark, the thing I'd recommend adding is just like a dome light, adding your HDRI over there, and then just reducing it so that it just fills in a bit of this light over here. But I kind of like the contrasty look. Nah, it's fine. Fills in a little bit of the blanks over there. Cool. The next thing we want to do is let's just animate this camera. So let's add a null over here. Put our camera in the null. Let's just turn off the lights in the cloner for now so we can see what we're doing. And let's add some rotation. So let's start over here like this. Let's go to frame like 45 and rotate like that. And then let's add another camera over here. And we want this one to be more zoomed in. Maybe something like that. And then let's just animate this a little bit more. So it's fully goes around like that. Actually, let's just make it one smooth motion. Did I delete the other one? Cool. Let's just make these keyframes linear. And then we can go over here. Let's select a stage object. Stage. On frame 0, let's select this camera. And on frame 45, let's go with this camera. Cool. I think with this camera, let's just add a bit of a animation. So let's go here. Let's just make this a little bit linear. For shape. And then let's also do the same with this camera over here. So frame 40. Let's go to 45. Just zoom out a bit. Nice. I think that works. Get a nice little transition of movement as we go between the two. Might seem a little bit janky now, but I mean, if you add motion blur, it'll feel quite smooth as it goes in. Cool, and let's see how this is looking. So let's go back. Let's add in our lights and our cloner back into the scene. Let's go and select our shoe over here as our focus object. And let's make this quite intense. 0.1? Is that too much? 0.5. And then I want to bring this down. No, I want to bring it this way to create these kind of like sideways. I don't know. It's making the bokeh go sideways. I don't fully understand it. I just like the look of it. Cool. And then we're going to go in. And let's do the same thing with this. Select our shoe. Let's go over here. Add some bokeh. Maybe set like 2. And let's also... Actually, I want it to be the other way. Something like that should be fine. Cool. Let's just go add some small adjustments over here. Let's go into our color correction. Let's enable this. Let's just boost our contrast a bit. Let's boost this. Cool. Let's add a bit of bloom. We can also see the rest of the scene over here. So maybe let's just increase the size of this to 500 by 500. Oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder what that looks like if I animate that. Oh, that's sick. I don't know what you could use this for, but that's really cool. I could imagine this being used for like a waveform animation. Like, yeah, that could be kind of cool. But not what we're doing for now. But I like when you find those like little happy accents. But yeah, I think something like that looks fun for now. I think the only thing I could see over here is that our textures coming through. Let's just set this to something like cubic, since though it's not animating. And let's add a bunch more clones to fill it up. Yeah, that looks a lot better. The bokeh might be a little bit too much. Let's set it back to 1. And then we can go in again. Nice. Let's just move our shoe down a bit. Nice. Yeah, I think that works. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I mean, obviously this wouldn't be production ready because, I mean, we can see we're clipping over here. We hold down, there we go, control, we can see that we are clipping. This is pure white, and the reason for that is probably the second layer over here. So with that, I would probably exclude the shoe over here. Here we go. Let's turn the first one on. Okay, yeah, we still want to turn on shadows so that we can get that nice shadow over there. It's gonna look weird. And then I'll probably just duplicate this other light. So it's like good DU at 50. Let's go out of our camera. Use that selected light. And then let's just go and light the shoe individually now. cool. And with this, I would probably do the opposite where I'm gonna only include the shoe because I want the shoe to stand out. Yeah, I mean, something like that should be fine. You can see over here, we're no longer, oh no, we are clipping over there. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, now we got a pretty cool shoe impact scene. Let's just play it again, see what this looks like. Remove the lighting, get a better look. And yeah, I think the only other thing that I did in the other scene that isn't in this scene is that the actual plane over here, in this scene over here, you'll see that my plane is actually 1,000 by 1,000. The reason for this is that I wanted to see the text, and you couldn't see the text clearly unless it had like a really low polygon count. But if you're not trying to show text and you're just trying to do the actual impact, you don't need to increase it to that amount. The only reason I'd suggest that is if you're really trying to have the displacement show through. But yeah, pretty cool scene. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. Pretty simple, pretty fun. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you're interested in the yeah, my God, I can't talk today. If you're interested in the project files, they'll be up on my Patreon. Till next time, peace.